Ubisoft has just released a trailer for its upcoming video game Star Wars Outlaws. I'll be doing a full breakdown in this video, but first, this is what Ubisoft had to say about the game so far. Star Wars Outlaws, the first ever open-world Star Wars game, is coming to Xbox, PS5, and PC in 2024. With development led by Ubisoft's Massive Entertainment in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games, Star Wars Outlaws invites you to play as cunning scoundrel Kay Vess, who, along with her loyal companion Nix, must pull off one of the greatest heists the Outer Rim has ever seen. Set between the events of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, Star Wars Outlaws takes place in a time when the Galactic Empire relentlessly pursues the final defeat of the Rebel Alliance and the criminal underworld is thriving. Kay will take on high-risk, high-reward missions from the galaxy's crime syndicates as she seeks the means to start a new life. A first look at Star Wars Outlaws gameplay will be shown at Ubisoft Forward Live on Monday, June 12th. The event begins at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and can be watched on Ubisoft's Twitch channel. So that's awesome. Not only are we getting a trailer today, but a better sense of what the game will be like tomorrow. So I'm sure I'll have more to say about the gameplay, but for now, let's dive into the trailer. We open up with some establishing shots, confirming our position in the timeline. We've got the Empire battling the Rebellion, and we see Han Solo's carbonite slab outside of Jabba's palace. So I would guess this places us right after the War of the Bounty Hunters, and maybe during the events of Crimson Reign as seen in the comics, which is perfect, because while the Empire is present, Kay's voiceover suggests the story will be more focused on the criminal syndicates of the galaxy, and even though the description says the criminal syndicates are thriving, the underworld is in chaos at this point. In the comics, we see the Hutt Council wiped out except for Jabba. Qi'ra pits all of the syndicates against one another, basically starting a war between them all. It's a really interesting setting for Kay to jump in and attempt some sort of crazy heist. We see members of the Pike Syndicate several times throughout the trailer. They would be fun to learn more about, and we could potentially see the early days of them getting a foothold on Tatooine as we saw in the Book of Boba Fett. An unfortunate Solistan is executed by a Melito, the same species as Sarcoplank, who briefly appears in The Force Awakens and some books and comics. We first meet Kay in a cantina playing Sabacc with an Aqualish and a Quarren. The cantina looks great and so do the characters. I'm sure this is all pre-rendered cinematic, so I'll reserve judgment until we see actual gameplay tomorrow, but I really like the visual style we're being presented with so far. It looks like Kay is being hunted by a syndicate or maybe some bounty hunters. If they're a syndicate, I would love it if they wound up being the Crymora Syndicate. They were first mentioned way back in 2014 in the Tarkin novel, and they've only ever been mentioned. But they were also established as one of the 5 major criminal syndicates of the galaxy in the Scum and Villainy reference book. The Hutts, the Pikes, Crimson Dawn, and Black Sun are all well known to Star Wars fans, so it would be great to finally see what the Crymora Syndicate is all about. Kay and her little cat creature Nix escape her pursuers. By the way, Nix is played by D. Bradley Baker, which is great. He's obviously known for voicing the clones, but he has played a ton of creatures over the years, like Appa and Momo in Avatar: The Last Airbender, or Nubs in the Young Jedi Adventures. Kay reaches her ship, which is big and blocky, not the most interesting design, but it definitely feels like it fits in Star Wars. Maybe we can modify and customize it over the course of the game to make it our own, because right now it feels a bit like a blank slate. A character named Jalen meets her inside, offering her a supposed way out of her troubles. He's got a very Kyle Katarn look about him, and he's got a BX commando droid with him, looking all spiffy and professional, wearing a coat. If the Crymora Syndicate is involved in this game, it would be cool to see the droid Gotra also pop up. That was a droid rights group originally formed by repurposed battle droids. They have been mentioned as working for the Crymora Syndicate, but they eventually replace Crymora as one of the 5 major syndicates by the time of the First Order. So the droid Gotra could start to rival Crymora in the game or something like that, as we see the commando droid working alongside Kay. It looks like we'll be stealing from the Empire for at least part of the heist because there are stormtroopers walking around in the background. I think we'll be battling different factions depending on which planet we're on at any given time. The Empire could be more prominent in the core worlds, and various syndicates could be in control in the Outer Rim. The Hutts are pretty messed up at this point, and depending on exactly when this game takes place, Crimson Dawn may or may not be around, but the Pikes, Crymora, and Black Sun are all on the table. I would love to see them all. Xizor has already been made canon in the comics, but maybe we'll see his triumphant return to video games here. But we can say the Pikes are around for sure, and one of them seems to be examining a Kyber crystal, which is interesting. Near the end, we see Kay participating in a battle between the Empire and the Rebels. It's possible that's happenstance, but I won't be surprised at all if we experience a scoundrel with a heart of gold tale, having Kay be just out for herself at the start, and then transforming into someone willing to fight for the greater good of the galaxy by the end. The rest of the trailer shows off a ton of different planets, which of course has me psyched. The variety looks fantastic. We see plenty of weird new planets that look like they're less civilized, more on the frontier of the galaxy, but there are also a handful of settled worlds with cities, each of them looking unique. One of them looks an awful lot like Canto Bight, with the buildings, some rocky formations, and a sea in the distance. And yeah, we're probably going back to Tatooine. It looks like there's a swoop chase happening. We see Jabba and a Rancor, which I guess the Rancor could be on any planet like in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, but it wouldn't surprise me if Kay pays a visit to Jabba's palace. Sometimes I whine about going back to Tatooine in Star Wars again and again, but I do hope we see some familiar planets, a healthy mix of new and old, because in an open world game like this, there are some Star Wars locations you just want to be able to explore for yourself. Tatooine would be fun. Coruscant would definitely be on my dream list as well. I'll be very interested to see more about Outlaws tomorrow. I've said many times before that the Star Wars Jedi games are basically my favorite type of game. I like that it has some open world features, but still tells a largely linear story. Open world games are more hit or miss for me. I've played a handful of them, but I often find them to be overwhelming with choices and options. I used to really struggle with them, but I think I've gotten better at playing them over the years, especially with games like Breath of the Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom, which I had to put down to make this video. But even though it's not my favorite genre of gaming, I have to admit how excited I am to potentially be overwhelmed with options in the Star Wars galaxy. As far as announcement trailers go, this has got me sufficiently hyped. And again, it's so great that we're going to be able to actually see the game in action tomorrow on Ubisoft Forward, which starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. The game is set to come out in 2024, and I think there were recently some rumors about a March release date. They haven't officially set anything in stone yet. Maybe we'll get confirmation tomorrow. No matter what, it feels good to have a more steady stream of Star Wars gaming. 2 big titles in 2 years? Yes, please. But that's all I've got to say about Outlaws for now. Let me know what you thought of the first trailer in the comments, and what you hope to learn about tomorrow. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for all our continuing Outlaws coverage, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.